Hey folks, Rue here. Just wanted to let you know that this episode of Ruel's Running Podcast is sponsored by Health IQ, an insurance company that helps health-conscious people get a special life insurance rates. I don't know why I said especial, but Health IQ can save customers up to 33% because physically active people have a 56% lower risk of heart disease, 20% lower risk of cancer, and 58% lower risk of diabetes compared to people who are inactive. So, what does that mean? It means later on in the show, I'll tell you a little bit more, but just feel rest assured that Health IQ uses science and data to secure lower rates on life insurance for health-conscious people like yourself. You know, you, the runner, the cyclist, the strength trainer, you know, the acrobat, the gymnast, somebody who's just active and, takes care of themselves. You know, they want to take that data into consideration so that you can maximize your life insurance buying capabilities. That's the way I'm going to put it, and I'm sticking to it. And remember, to see if you qualify, get your free quote today at healthiq.com/RUEL. That's healthiq.com/RUEL, or mention the promo code RUEL. That's RUEL when you talk to a Health IQ agent. On with the show.
Podcasting from somewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area, the birthplace of Bruce Lee, the iPhone, and the bendy straw. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
There was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in
Amazon.com. You know, I won't be surprised if more and more stuff that I shop for, buy, and get shipped to my home comes from Amazon. It's just a reality, right? And if this is your reality, go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon banner to get to Amazon. Why am I asking you to do so? Well, it is a no-cost-to-you way. If you like listening to Ruel's Running Podcast, it is a way that you can help the show out without spending more than you've already spent while shopping at the good folks at Amazon.com. So help us out. Go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon.com site, and shop, connect, and enjoy.
Hey everybody, welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. I'm your host, Ruel Abadam. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody is doing well. I'm basically okay myself, but I am dealing with a bug. It's either me stacking up one bug after the other, but I do feel like I haven't been able to shake off an issue that seemed to have started a couple weeks ago. What started as a frog in my throat and feeling a little bit of bronchitis. Thought I got over it for the most part, only for it to sort of take me out of doing anything. Took me out of some running, and it took me out of heading to the office because my office has somewhat of a zero tolerance to coming into the office sick. Nobody wants to get sick because a colleague made them sick, bringing in their germs and whatnot. So I've been dealing with it, and it's evolved. You know, the roughest parts are late in the evening and early in the morning. I've been staying up late, catching up on some Netflix, and what generally happens is my chest tightens up and my throat starts to get pretty raw. And so right now it's kind of a challenge. And then in the morning, it's like I've become this breeding ground for the nastiest, grossest, mucus buildup in my chest and stuff. I think at this point I'm closer to having the chest cold, or probably not bronchitis, because I guess what constitutes as bronchitis is I get some sort of bronchial spasm. And I'm not there yet, so I'm likely gonna bite the bullet and take something like a Mucinex and see if that does anything helpful. But man, the past 3 days in the morning, it's just been really gnarly. The stuff that I've been able to hack, it's just incredible, and I hate it. But yummy. So that's kind of my status, and we're almost we're about a week into April, something like that, early part of April, and I guess I'm about a month away from my next running event, my next 50K trail, and priority right now is just getting healthy so that I can participate. I'm at a point where I've not been able to do any significant sort of running, but excuse me, I should I don't know what I'm going to do, but I guess I'm just going to have to wing it again. So that's that. Not a whole lot of cooking update. Been taking a lot of time away from the office, working out of the office, and the kids have been out of school, so just a lot of nothing worth talking about as far as food prep, just general stuff to get by. A lot of eating out, things like oh good Lord, I like a good burger, and sometimes we're doing pizzas at Pyology. We are just out on vacation and things like that. You want to just get food out of the way sometimes, especially if you're dealing with sickness. And I'm not the only one in the household dealing with it. My wife's picked it up, so, it's not the best. So we're just getting by. We're still all generally good, being able to still be together as a family and do stuff. But, it does take its toll. Thank goodness, for the most part, the kids have been okay. It's just mommy and daddy having to deal with it. And it is primarily me being under the weather. That is the reason for, having to bring back an old episode and take an episode out of the archives and, re-up it and present it here for this episode 201 for you guys. It's based on downloads. It's one of the most downloaded episodes for the podcast. So I'll put it out there and then give it another run, and let's see how it does. See if folks appreciate it again as much as it had been appreciated when it first came out. So with that, I will transition into the archived episode, and I appreciate you all listening. Bye.
Welcome. I am Ruel. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to The Silly Show. If you are a new listener, welcome. as well. Hope you stick around. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you tell a friend. Now, today's show, I'm just going to start off with a little focus. I'm going to talk about some recipes. Yummy recipes. Yum, 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 yum. Going to talk about autoimmune conditions. Not all of them, but in general. And maybe hone in on a couple. And autoimmune protocol. Let's go. Now, our run update. It's the end of February, and I've managed to get just 2 runs in for the month. Very much like January, not a whole lot of running, just another 2 sessions up for the month. Been really, really busy, been really, really occupied, been really, really depressed. Can you tell? Yes, I am suffering from some level of depression at the moment. Hopefully it doesn't go through the recording, but yeah, clearly depression is a thing. It's kind of weird when you know you're depressed and you can sense it happening and you're living your life in that state and you can sort of logically figure like, I've got to do something about it, but then emotionally somehow, like deep down in your gut, you're sort of like something's sort of just pulling you in deeper into it, and I got to get some help. That's for sure. I got to figure out what to do. I got to raise my endorphins. I need to do something. I need to come out of this because this really, really blows. One thing that I might do is I might force myself into some runs, maybe early in the morning, maybe late at night. I don't know, maybe just put my hand on a hot stove. I don't know, something. But it sucks. Depression sucks. And on that note, let's transition on. No. So, setting that aside, back to the run update. I do want to get more runs in, and I'm waiting. Maybe I shouldn't wait. I'm waiting for like daylight to be longer so that I can have a little bit of daylight in the beginning of the day if I decide to go for a run, and same like toward the end of the day. Would love that. And obviously the more daylight, that should help with mood and all of that. Yeah, and I do have the goal of hitting my 50-mile distance this year because I didn't get it done last year. So I got to figure that out on top of everything else that's going on. Yeah, there's tons, but that's the run update. How's your running coming along? I don't say it enough, but I love it when people let me know how things are going with their own running. And it doesn't have to be crazy distances, but if it is, that's awesome. I love talking to folks like Tony Portera and Carlos Donez, hearing about their ultra adventures and stuff. And I like hearing from folks about they've done their first 5K, they've done their first 10K, or just anything, just going out for a hike. I love it. Just let me know, and we can talk about it, and we can give you a shout out. How's that? Boom. Now we'll move right along into food. Lately, what I've been doing is steaming broccoli, and I've steamed some asparagus. I've prepared some cauliflower, and that's just sort of like the side, because coming from an Asian household, white rice, steamed rice is a thing, right? But wanting to avoid having that for now, and just focus on what can be a side, and what better than steamed veggies, right? So it seems like a lot of work, but it's not. It's just different. And maybe it's just me, but at the same time, having done it for a few days, it's just easy breezy. And and that's because I'm prepared, right? I'll go to the grocery store, I'll get the vegetables, and I'll put them in the fridge. And whether it's during breakfast, lunch, or dinner time, as much as I hate mealtime labels, whenever it's time to prepare something, I'm preparing more than what's going to be consumed for that sitting, so that there are leftovers that can be easily accessible for a snack or for the next meal time. With those vegetables, they can just be refrigerated, right? And the way we have them is we'll steam them and we'll salt them. Easy, breezy, beautiful. Wait, where'd that come from? Now, so that's the side. So what's the core part of the meal, right? Where's your protein? Where's your fat? And that comes from, lately, I prepared what's called a bacon-wrapped beef tenderloin. And it was, I don't do it that often. I've never worked with beef tenderloin before, but this was the first time, and it's a significant slab of meat. It was bigger than my forearm, thicker than my forearm, longer than my forearm, but it wasn't a forearm. It was beef. And my wife bought that slab of beef. I'm glad she did, because it wasn't a cheap slab of beef. So, getting it prepared, cooked, and eaten, it was more important that we made good use of that dish, because you spend money on it, right? It's not junk. It's quality food, Anyways, so yeah, it was a bacon-wrapped beef tenderloin. Yummy, and just to run through the recipe real quick, get the beef tenderloin, right? And I'll wrap bacon around it. And I'm not a fan of bacon wrapping or weaving, any of that weird stuff where you create overlapping layers of bacon to shape stuff. But this was an exception. It wasn't to wrap a whole roast chicken. It was just cover a slab of meat and provide additional flavor, additional fat, and also help keep the meat moist. So it was awesome. And so, wrapped all that bacon around the slab of meat, and then wrapped it all tight in plastic wrap, and put it in the fridge for an hour, just so that I guess it could all settle in, set, and stay in its shape. And then I would take a pan, so that would rest for about an hour in the refrigerator. Then I would take a pan, add a little bit of bacon fat in there, heat it up pretty high or medium high, take out the meat, and then basically crisp the bacon all around that tenderloin. Yummy. I mean, it's clearly not going to cook the meat through or to liking, but it's just, we want to get that crispiness around all of that bacon that's wrapped around that beef. Then when that's done, I would mount that tenderloin on a roasting rack, which is elevated in a pan, and beneath that rack in the pan are chopped quartered mushrooms, a lot of them, with sliced garlic, and some of that, the drippings that was in the pan, I would pour that in there as well, and it's all sort of tucked under the meat. And so that would go in the oven, get cooked to a specific internal temperature, 100 something or other, 130 or 140, then removed and allowed to sit and rest, lightly covered with foil. And then all of that, those vegetables would have been dripped on by the roasting meat and bacon, and that all becomes this whole yummy additional sort of side, So that's what I did recently, and it was delicious. Still leftovers, and we're still working through it because it was a significant chunk of meat. So after that, what am I going to do next? Going to do what's called a 3-herb beef patty, or patties, plural. And I'm excited to do this one. It's not as expensive, it's way more easy, but I've never done it before with this recipe, so it'd be interesting to see how it tastes and how it comes out. You don't want to ruin any sort of meat, right? You don't want to overdo it, you don't want to underdo it, you want to do it just right. And for this particular recipe, it's ground beef. It has sage, thyme, and rosemary and sea salt. Somehow all that's put together at certain ratios and combinations. Divided, shaped, cooked. Some step left in storage for cooking later. So I'll let you know how that goes. That should be good. Should be wonderful. So that's that for food. Oh, by the way, these recipes are not only NSNG, no sugar, no grains, and if I'm off by chance, as I work through the recipes, I'm thinking NSNG, and I'm looking out, okay, I don't need any additional sweet or grains in here. What am I substituting in instead? That sort of mindfulness. So, just so you know, so not only are they NSNG, they are also what's called autoimmune protocol friendly, if I'm not mistaken. Autoimmune protocol friendly.
Coming up, Rue gives us something else to think about. How vague is that, Ruel? Geez. Could you be any vaguer, Ruel? Well, it's all coming up on Ruel's Running.
As a listener of the show, you know I like to bring up a fantastic affiliate, friend of the show, Pure Vitamin Club. I've talked about, used, and promoted their daily multi-cap, which is a great product. I take it, my wife takes it. Well, it's been a couple of months now, and I've also been taking their broad spectrum magnesium, which is something they released new for the year. Guess what? It's another great product and better than any other magnesium supplement currently out on the market. Here to tell you more about it is the founder and a friend of Pure Vitamin Club.
Hi, this is Vinny Tortorich from the Celebrity Fitness Trainer podcast, and Ruel asked me to come on and tell you guys all about my product, my new product at purevitaminclub.com. We now have Pure Magnesium. It is a broad-spectrum magnesium. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself. What does broad-spectrum mean? Well, look, if you go in a grocery store, you can buy the cheap stuff that usually only has carbonate or citrate, usually one of the two, because those are the cheaper forms of it. But you know what? Those forms are good, especially when you add carbonate and glycinate and taurate. Oh, did I say that wrong? No, I didn't. And then citrate. You add those four together, and you have a broad-spectrum magnesium. It's a more well-rounded magnesium. And guess what? We put nothing else in it, folks. That's it. That's it. No byproducts, no fillers, no sand, no nothing. Just what you want. PureVitaminClub.com. Go check out the broad-spectrum magnesium. I think you will love it. Once again, I'm Vinny Tortorich, and check us out at the podcast.
Thank you, Vinny. Friends, you can order your supply today, like Vinny said, purevitaminclub.com. Get your broad-spectrum magnesium. I'll definitely put links on the show and on the site and show notes. Now, in addition to just going directly to the site at purevitaminclub.com, if you like ruelsrunning.com and you want to help out a little bit, there are two ways that I've made available where you can help out from an affiliate perspective. Go to ruelsrunning.com/vitamins, which will redirect you to my affiliate link with Pure Vitamin Club. Thank you very much. As my son tries to be quiet in the background. And number two, you can go to ruelsrunning.com/vitamins-Amazon, which will redirect you to my Amazon affiliate link to Pure Vitamin Club's Amazon storefront, where you can go and shop for your Pure Vitamin Club vitamins on Amazon if you prefer to go to Amazon. So check those places out. Get your supply today. Thank you very much, Vinny, for your time on the show. And we're back. Speaking of, I And on the topic of health and family, this is where it's going to be really be interesting to go through this information. And I mentioned it on the top of the show. We're talking about things related to autoimmune something or other. And I did mention autoimmune protocol friendly. So what's that all about? So autoimmune protocol, it's, for lack of a better word, a diet, right? Or at least that's where I've at least read it. And maybe you can exclude diet and replace it with lifestyle or whatever. But autoimmune protocol. From the information that I've been able to go through, it has its origins in the paleo lifestyle or the paleo diet, whatever. And it has been developed over time to address the very real needs of folks with autoimmune disease or conditions. Lately, and part of the reason why those recipes had come up, as I talk more and more recipes as episodes go along, you may find that they're sort of more in line with NSNG and things that are autoimmune friendly. But lately, so I've been spending a lot of time understanding things like thyroid, things like autoimmunity, and autoimmune diseases like Hashimoto's, along with hypothyroidism, and Graves' disease, along with hyperthyroidism, previously Hashimoto's hypo, Graves' hyper, one being the underactive thyroid, one being an overactive thyroid. So, I've been listening to podcasts with folks who are either functional medicine doctors specializing in autoimmune conditions, or podcast hosts who have struggled and overcome their own autoimmune conditions, and sometimes where there's both a doctor who specializes in autoimmunity and is dealing or has overcome his or her own autoimmune condition. Someone with experience who lives it and preaches it and all that good stuff. Podcasts that I've listened to so far on the topic or in this realm, podcasts like Health, Nutrition, and Functional Medicine with Dr. Michael Ruscio, the Phoenix Helix podcast, where they say reversing autoimmune disease through the paleo diet and lifestyle, and that's with Eileen Laird. There's also the Nourish, Balance, Thrive podcast with Christopher Kelly, Dr. Low Radio Show, and Beyond Wellness Radio with Dr. Justin Marchigiani. So those are a few that I've spat out that I've subscribed to and I've been listening to and learning from. So anyways, just from these podcasts alone, and along with their guest interviews, you can find yourself sort of following along show links to other folks in that cover this topic, and you find a lot of good resources that way. Anyways,
Sweet.
Health IQ rated 9.6 out of 10 on Trustpilot. Customers love them. Ryan Hall, the fastest marathoner in American history and the only United States athlete to break the 1 hour time for the half marathon. This is what he has to say about Health IQ. Quote, "It's perfect because it's made for people like me with a healthy, active lifestyle," unquote. The lower heart rates that many pro athletes have can sometimes negatively affect insurance rates. Hall liked the fact that Health IQ used this active lifestyle as an asset in getting a good life insurance rate rather than it being a detriment. He commented that he appreciated how Health IQ made the process easy and simple for him, given how limited his time already was. Health IQ is the fastest growing life insurance company with over $5 billion in coverage. So, like saving money on your car insurance for being a good driver, Health IQ saves you money on your life insurance for living a health-conscious lifestyle. To see if you qualify, get your free quote today at healthiq.com/Ruel or mention the promo code RUEL when you talk to a Health IQ agent today. What am I talking about? Why am I bringing this up? This is all info. This is info available to anyone. I'll share links and I'll read some from stuff here. So I'm going to maybe come across, as I read through some of the stuff, as if I'm some sort of expert, but I'm not. So be sure to check out the notes and go to the website for the links and whatnot. Check out this podcast that I mentioned so you can do your own research as I have. And so autoimmune disease. This is from thepaleomom.com, described as autoimmune disease is caused by the immune system losing the ability to differentiate proteins belonging to your own body with proteins belonging to a foreign invader like a bacteria, virus, or parasite. What causes symptoms is the buildup of damage to cells, tissues, and or organs in the body. Damage caused by your own immune system attacking those cells. Which proteins or cells are attacked is what separates one disease from another. In Hashimoto's thyroiditis, the thyroid gland is attacked. In rheumatoid arthritis, the tissues of your joints are attacked. In psoriasis, proteins within the layers of the cells that make up your skin are attacked. However, the root cause is the same. That's the end of that quote from thepaleomom.com. So I'm going to bring up Hashimoto's disease. Hashimoto's disease, this is from mayoclinic.org. Hashimoto's disease is a condition in which your immune system attacks your thyroid, a small gland at the base of your neck below your Adam's apple. The thyroid gland is part of your endocrine system, which produces hormones that coordinate many of your body's activities. The resulting inflammation from Hashimoto's disease, also known as chronic lymphocytic thyroiditis, often leads to an underactive thyroid gland, hypothyroidism. Hashimoto's disease is the most common cause of hypothyroidism in the U.S. It primarily affects middle-aged women, but also can occur in men and women of any age and in children. Here are some symptoms. Fatigue and sluggishness, increased sensitivity to cold, hoarse voice, muscle aches, tenderness, stiffness, especially in your shoulders and hips, muscle weakness, especially in your lower extremities, depression, and for women, excessive or prolonged menstrual bleeding. So that's Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, and a list of some of the symptoms that one can encounter. Now I'm going to describe Graves' disease. This is off of mayoclinic.org as well. Actually from webmd.com. What is Graves' disease? First described by Sir Robert Graves in early 19th century, Graves' disease is one of the most common of all thyroid problems. It is also the leading cause of hyperthyroidism, a condition in which the thyroid gland produces excessive hormones. Then here's a list of symptoms from mayoclinic.org. Anxiety and irritability, a fine tremor on your hands or fingers, heat sensitivity and an increase in perspiration or warm, moist skin, weight loss despite normal eating habits, changes in the menstrual cycle for women, erectile dysfunction or reduced libido for men, frequent bowel movements, bulging eyes as described as Graves' ophthalmopathy, rapid and irregular heartbeat palpitations. Now, Graves and Hashimoto's, both of these are autoimmune diseases or conditions, autoimmune thyroid conditions, which directly attack the thyroid, blah, blah, blah. When the immune system attacks other healthy tissues and other parts of the body, they have their own names. From the information I've come up through, autoimmune response is the common cause. As previously mentioned, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, they are, now I'm not reading anything specific, now it's just me just kind of going through my mind. Some sort of underlying autoimmune condition is causing various tissues in body, healthy tissues, to be attacked, and depending on what tissue is being attacked, there's a name for that condition. So anyways, so my mom's sister and my mom's niece, or my cousin, both have had history of thyroid problems. I recently learned that both mom and daughter, separate times of their lives, have had their thyroids removed. So, for the thyroid-related autoimmune conditions of Graves and Hashimoto's, the traditional treatments are, and this is stuff that I found out, traditional treatments are anti-thyroid medications, which have their own side effects, radioactive iodine, which may or may not have its own side effects, but basically that's where the thyroid tissue to some degree is damaged using radioactive iodine. So it's sort of like you take a pill or there's an injection. I'm not sure how it's delivered, but then the thyroid starts to sort of like get destroyed, and I guess the point is so that if you have a hyperactive thyroid, then you're by destroying some of the healthy tissue in the thyroid, you're, I guess, preventing it from shooting out more hormone. So the other traditional treatment is surgery, where you have the thyroid removed, as my relatives have had. From my understanding is when you have the thyroid removed, then you don't have the thyroid to produce thyroid hormone, which your body can use, so you would have to go on, I guess, replacement hormones for the rest of your life after that surgery. So yeah. So from the information I've come across, the suppression, the destroying, or the removing of the thyroid does not treat the underlying cause. The question is, what is causing the thyroid to act wonky? It's a fascinating question, but I'm learning that it's a horrible thing to actually experience and live through, and also to witness if you're not the one going through it. All the side effects that previously mentioned, that was just some of the side effects. There are more. And anyways, so from, again, more information that I've been able to glean from all these resources, there appears to be a common thread in these, hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism, Hashimoto's and Graves', where the common thread, even with just the other autoimmune conditions, the common thread is people have a leaky gut and gut dysbiosis. I mean, certain other people will have other things going on, some like bacterial overgrowth, from what I've read and heard, but leaky gut and gut dysbiosis. Leaky gut, well, say gut dysbiosis being where, you basically have this colony, if you will, of gut bacteria in your gut, and there has to be some balance with all of this gut, and for some reason it's off. The gut bacteria helps us to digest or break down, utilize what we ingest in our body. And if you look up gut microbes, the term gut microbes, on the internet, you'll learn there are more gut bacteria in the body than there are human cells. And this is something I first heard about while listening to the audiobook Finding Ultra by Rich Roll. By the way, you can get that title, Finding Ultra by Rich Roll, on Audible, trial.com/RuelsRunning, just in case you are interested. Anyways, back to microbes or bacteria in the gut. They are not all the same. Somehow there needs to be a healthy balance of the stuff, and I don't know exactly. I think even the people that know more still are trying to discover more. But what I do know is that people can get help using some good probiotics and lifestyle choices and food choices. So in foods, it comes in the form of fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha, other fermented foods. I like even just taking hits of apple cider, some good organic apple cider vinegar from Brax. And I love kimchi. Now, kimchi, it smells revolting at times, but, you know, I still love it. Then there are supplements, and I don't have any names on the top of my head, but there are quality probiotic supplements out there that folks can get on to help with whatever gut dysbiosis they're having to deal with. So that's gut dysbiosis. Now there's leaky gut, with this, the other thing common with folks with autoimmune conditions. Leaky gut is essentially something you're eating, or some things you are eating isn't sitting well. Not like indigestion where you take some Pepto, Tums, or Rolaids and you're good to go, but worse. Kind of worse where your gut is so sensitive to certain things that the lining of the gut has become permeable and allows, you know, the food proteins and stuff to leak into the bloodstream, which is not good. It's a basic description of leaky gut. It's like when stuff leaks like that, the body's immune system kicks in and sends an army of antibodies to fight it off like an infection. The problem is that some of the body's healthy tissue, I guess from a microscopic level, I don't know, resembles the stuff that's leaking out, right? And there's a terminology that uses the term mimicry or something. But the immune system thinks that the healthy tissue that resembles the stuff that's leaking out, you know, is stuff that needs to be attacked as well. So not only is the immune system, the antibodies attacking the leakage, it's looking at healthy tissue, thinking it's the same thing, and attacking that as well. So, you know, thyroid, for example, has healthy tissue. If the stuff that's leaking out of the gut resembles somehow the cells or whatever, the signature or signaling of a thyroid, those antibodies are going to attack the thyroid as well as all that other stuff. And that healthy tissue is seen as an infection, and yeah, it's like bombarded. So this is, I guess, the autoimmune reaction or the autoimmune response. The body is attacking its own healthy tissue. So somehow the body needs to patch up that leak in the gut to prevent the onslaught of or the calling of antibodies, that whole immune response. So this is where functional medicine comes in. And, doing this podcast and paying attention to things sort of in the health and fitness and listening to folks like Chris Kresser, who else? Ben Greenfield, Rich Roll, all over the place. Vinnie Tortorich, there's tons of people. Mark Sisson, Rob Wolf, so many people. The folks in, all the doctors that are in it, that are in this thing. There's so many out there, but unfortunately, there isn't enough to overtake, I guess, the traditional medicine, which would be nice if there was like a perfect combination of everything that we can go to get sort of this functional, holistic treatment. So the conventional doctor, when treating a person diagnosed with a thyroid autoimmunity or any other autoimmune condition, will traditionally prescribe medication. Again, medication that can help treat the symptoms but not the underlying cause. I can't help but think that my relatives who have had their thyroid removed, did just that. They removed the symptoms, but, not taking care of what had caused everything to go wonky, and what would that mean down the road as far as something else becoming an issue. Hopefully not. I really hope that nothing else happens, but that's definitely a concern, when we're just taking care of symptoms and not underlying causes. Specific to the thyroid autoimmunity, I've literally sat in an examination room for a loved one and asked, so what happens after medication? And knowing, radioactive iodine and surgery are out of the question. We don't want to harm the thyroid. We just want to know with medication, what's next? How do we get to the underlying cause? And from what I can tell, I literally stumped the doctor because, and I'm not bragging, I'm kind of disappointed and shocked, and also at the same time, after doing a lot of the research, not surprised. I literally stumped the doctor because the traditional treatments of medication, radioactive iodine, and surgery, again, we're talking about the thyroid, are the only options that she knows and have prescribed, she being the doctor, specifically the endocrinologist. So, to me, I'm thinking, what I'm visualizing is, you're in a video game and you come across this wall. You can't get beyond it. And to me, that's sort of like the doctor's come across this wall. She's done everything that she can, but then just not because she doesn't want to, but because, that's all she knows. Those are the only options she knows and have prescribed. So I asked, is there anyone else that you can think of who might be able to help, who can be seen to identify what the underlying cause may be? And this is, I don't go into an office like this knowing questions. I did a level of research not to be a smart aleck, but because I'm actually honestly asking the doctor, what else can we do? How do we find out what's causing thyroid problems, right? The doctor doesn't know. The doctor struggled, as a matter of fact, to make up to come up with an answer because she wants to help, right? She's come across this wall and she still wants to help. So the best thing she can come up with is, perhaps if there is one person in the country that you could find who is performing experimental trials, you can try that, which doesn't leave one feeling hopeful and able to go in a specific direction to get that help, because it's all sort of make believe. Where do you go? Who, is there somebody else I can talk to? Can you just give me a number to call, an office, an agency, something? Nothing. Functional medicine didn't come up. It wasn't mentioned. So anyways, and I wanted to step back and say, God bless the endocrinologist, God bless traditional medicine, because they're important. They help save lives. There are aspects of it that I wish weren't the case, but nothing is perfect. The world isn't perfect. We do the best we can with what we have. Anyways, why functional medicine rocks? I don't know. It's through functional medicine information that I'm able to get an understanding of functional medicine, holistic type treatments, right? Or at least get a different perspective. It's an area where I'm able to try and get answers to that question that the doctor was unable to provide, the question of what's causing this thyroid to go hyperactive, right? And for coming from my background, I'm one who believes that lifestyle and diet all contribute to our well-being, and so functional medicine helps provide a different perspective and help give that answer. So there are ways too, in conjunction with traditional medication treatments, that don't have to include additional medication or surgery and a list of other additional side effects that come along with medication and surgeries, or ways aside from traditional stuff, that just completely alternative stuff to help treat or locate underlying causes. That's stuff that you can find within functional medicine, or some clues, right? You don't really know until you actually test or until you actually apply something, get a result that you can get an answer. But, I guess the folks in the functional medicine realm, there's enough of them, and there's enough people who have gone through treatments where, collectively, this is what's being seen, this is how it's being treated, this is what this is called, this is what that is called, right? So, there are ways that you can help a leaky gut, right? There's ways that you can treat symptoms outside of traditional medicine using functional medicine. And that's sort of where we circle back around to that thing I called autoimmune protocol. It's not my thing, it's actually what the thing's called, or AIP, previously mentioned, right? So the basic thing is that, much like how gluten wreaks havoc on a person with celiac or a celiac disease person who has celiac disease, which is another autoimmune disease in itself, there are a number of other foods that can cause problems. If you recall, if you're a long-time listener of the show, I had an interview with Anna Vocino, and she talked about her, what she deals with as a person with celiac. For a long time, she had been gluten-free, and she was still having an autoimmune reaction to stuff, and she was able to learn what those were through testing, through what's called through a lab called Cyrex Labs, and there's a panel called RER201, which tests for gluten and other sort of cross-reactive food sensitivity type stuff. So she had done that. She was able to find out, in addition to gluten, what other things is triggering that same response as if she was been eating gluten. So so you can go through testing, but if you don't go through testing, you go through what is the autoimmune protocol or something much like it. It's basically where you eliminate things that likely will cause a reaction. And in AIP, over time it's been developed where they have a list of foods that, so okay, dairy, eggs, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, nightshades, whatever, right? I'll link to stuff and things to include, things to avoid, and that'll give you a better picture, and so you'll know what I'm talking about. But the idea is you take that whole set of food to avoid for now. You eliminate it for a period of time, like 30 days, so that you can, and you eat more of the stuff that is allowed, right? And you allow your body that time to heal from the inside out. And, some folks may have additional challenges aside from a leaky gut, again, where there's like bacterial overgrowth or other infections and other treatments like antibiotics have to be taken. But for the purposes of the leaky gut discussion, just to keep it somewhat simple, you eliminate certain foods, you allow your body to heal from the inside out. Then after that, there's this reintroduction period where you bring back one or two of the things that were on the avoid list. You have it for a period of time, I don't know, maybe 3 days or so, gradually to see if you react to it, and then as you go along, continuing to reintroduce stuff that you had previously eliminated, you take note what made you feel crummy, and then you'll get a sense of what you react to. That's the other way of trying to identify the foods, aside from just getting that testing like the Cyrex Labs RER201. The cool thing is that as you go through this process of the AIP protocol, or the autoimmune protocol, is you discover foods that you didn't pay attention to before. You eliminate stuff that you thought you couldn't live without. You're like in this totally different place, healing yourself from the inside out, in the spirit of that at least, and hopefully everybody does. And along the way they benefit in other ways. Not just, health is most important. To be able to function and to not be sick is most important. But then you find like other things that had bothered you for a while may no longer bother you, because who knows, maybe that stuff was all sort of interrelated. So reintroduce. It can be a tough time, but with practice it does become, how do they say, it does become second nature. You get used to it. So I want to encourage folks to check out the links on the show, for this show, and on the site. Do your own research. Maybe you or someone has struggled and has overcome great things related to this: autoimmunity, autoimmune conditions, autoimmune disease, Graves, Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, celiac. I'd love to hear about it. You can catch me on social, Facebook, Twitter, blah, 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 or you can contact me directly via the contact page on the website. And there's a lot of stuff. It's not usual. It's a totally different topic, but it's health-related. It is family-related because, watching somebody go through it, it's also tough. Not as tough as the person who's going through it, but your family, you're going through it all together. We're all related one way or another. Even if it's not family, it's a close friend, And when you don't have the resources, to take a look at things from a different perspective, to come up with find underlying causes, things that functional medicine is able to provide, it can be really tough and daunting. But check out the resources. Get into it. Thanks for being here. If you like the show, spread the word to the bird. Remember, ruwellsrunning.com/subscribe. Be safe. Please eat safe. Hug your family. Go run something. Bye. Hello. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you, a friend, or somebody that you overheard say at a coffee shop, man, I am looking for a top-notch website hosting service with incredible support, right? If you know somebody or heard of somebody, let them know that there's this place called Bluehost. They offer top-notch website hosting, incredible support. All they have to do is go to ruwellsrunning.com, click on the Bluehost banner to click through, and see what they got to offer. And it's a website service that I use for the site. I'm happy with them, and I'm sure that if you or people you know get on it, that you'll find out for yourselves that, yep, they are top-notch and have excellent service. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruwellsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.